I had been sitting beside Liam Callahan's bed for nearly a year now. Every single day, I read to him, hoping my words would somehow reach through the fog of his coma. The beeping machines were my only company, the sterile hospital air thick with unspoken prayers. I don't know why I got so attached to him. Maybe because I saw something beyond the rich, powerful businessman that the world knew. The headlines once screamed his name, the genius billionaire of Callahan Enterprises. But here, in this quiet hospital wing, he was just a man trapped in an endless sleep. And I, Emily Carter, was the only one who hadn't given up on him. His family rarely visited. His friends, non-existent. His empire ran without him, a well-oiled machine that didn't need its master. But me, I needed to be here. Because deep down I believed he could hear me. I placed my hand gently over his, my fingers barely brushing his unmoving ones. Liam, today I'm reading The Little Prince. It was my sister's favorite when we were kids. I let out a soft chuckle. I think you'd like it too. As I flipped the pages, I imagined him listening, even if his expression never changed. But that night, something did change. It was past midnight when I finished the last chapter. My voice was hoarse, my eyes heavy with sleep. I reached for his hand again, the way I always did before leaving when his fingers twitched. I gasped, my heart hammering in my chest. Liam! A low sound rumbled in his throat. His head turned slightly, his breathing hitching. Then, a whisper, barely audible. Emily! Froze. He spoke my name. He knew me. Tears filled my eyes as I gripped his hand. Liam, can you hear me? You're awake. You're back. His eyelids fluttered, struggling to open. Then, in a voice weak but determined, he said something that sent chills down my spine. Don't let them take everything. Please, help me. I didn't understand it then. But that was the moment my entire life changed. Liam's recovery was slow but steady. Doctors were stunned by his awakening. His case had been nearly hopeless, and yet here he was, alive, conscious, and remembering me. But something was wrong. He was restless, his eyes constantly darting toward the door. When I asked what he meant by his first words, he only said one thing. They betrayed me. I didn't press him at first. I thought it was just the confusion of waking up after so long. But as days passed, it became clear. Someone didn't want him to wake up. And when I found out the truth, I wished I had never asked. Liam's gaze darted toward the door every time footsteps echoed in the hallway. His breathing would quicken, and his grip on my hand would tighten as if he feared someone might come and take him away. I tried to reassure him, but his paranoia only grew. One night, after the hospital had quieted down, he whispered, Emily, I wasn't in a car accident. I frowned. What do you mean? The reports said. It wasn't an accident, he cut me off, his voice raw with urgency. Someone wanted me in this coma. My blood ran cold. How do you know? I asked hesitantly. His jaw clenched. Because I remember everything now. Over the next few days, Liam shared bits and pieces of his past, the things the world never knew. I built Callahan Enterprises from the ground up, he murmured one evening, staring blankly at the ceiling. And I trusted the wrong people. His best friend, Daniel Hartman, had been handling the company in his absence. But Liam now suspected that Daniel had done more than just take over. He had orchestrated the accident that left him in a coma. Before the crash, I was about to sign a new contract that would have changed everything, Liam said. A deal that would have made me untouchable. But Daniel, he wanted it all for himself. I felt a chill run through me. Liam, if that's true, you're in danger. His grip on my hand tightened. We're in danger. That night, as I left Liam's room, I felt someone watching me. The hospital corridor was empty, but the air was thick with something unspoken. I shook off the feeling and hurried home. But the next morning when I returned, Liam's room was empty. Panic surged through me. His bed was neatly made, the machines gone, as if he had never been there. I grabbed a passing nurse. Where's Liam Callahan? She blinked at me in confusion. Who? My stomach dropped. Something was very, very wrong. My heart pounded as I scanned the empty room. This had to be a mistake. Liam was here yesterday. He spoke to me. He was recovering. I turned back to the nurse. Liam Callahan. The billionaire who was in a coma for almost a year. I was his nurse. She hesitated, then shook her head. I'm sorry, miss. There's no patient by that name here. No, I whispered, panic setting in. That's impossible. I ran to the reception desk. Please check your records. Liam Callahan, room 307. The receptionist frowned, typing into the system. A few seconds later, she looked up, confused. There's no record of a Liam Callahan ever being admitted here. The world seemed to tilt beneath me. Someone had erased him. I stumbled out of the hospital, my mind racing. Where was Liam? Who took him? As I reached the parking lot, I noticed a black SUV idling near the exit. Its windows were tinted, but I felt the weight of unseen eyes on me. A man in a black suit stepped out. His expression unreadable. Miss Carter, he said smoothly. I took a step back. Who are you? He ignored my question. Stop looking for Mr. Callahan. He's where he needs to be. My hands clenched into fists. What does that mean? Where is he? The man gave me a polite but chilling smile. You did your job. Move on. He turned to leave, but I wasn't done. If Liam is alive, I won't stop until I find him. The man paused, then sighed as if I was an inconvenience. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Before I could react, he slipped something into my pocket,
I went back to my
a folded
apartment,
piece of paper,
hoping
and
to clear
walked
my
away.
head.
The
But as I
SUV
unlocked my
drove
door,
off,
I noticed something was
disappearing
off.
into the night.
My living room,
With shaking
once neat,
hands, I
was
pulled out
now
the
a
note.
mess.
There was
Drawers
only
were
one
open,
sentence
paper
written on it.
scattered.
Trust
Someone
no
had
one,
been searching for
not
something.
even
A
yourself.
warning, or a message. I sank onto my couch, trying to think. Someone wanted Liam gone. Someone powerful enough to erase hospital records. But Liam had left me one last clue. His first words when he woke up, "Don't let them take everything. Please, help me." I took a deep breath. If they thought I would walk away, they didn't know me at all. I was going to find Liam, no matter what it took. I sat in my ransacked apartment, heart pounding. Someone had broken in. Someone wanted to scare me. But why leave a warning instead of just getting rid of me? Unless they weren't sure how much I knew. I thought back to Liam's first words after waking up. Don't let them take everything. Please, help me? What was he trying to tell me? Then something clicked. Liam had been unconscious for nearly a year. He would have known about the company's current state unless he had already known betrayal was coming before the accident. I needed to dig deeper. There was only one place that might still have records of Liam's hospitalization. His personal doctor, Dr. Adrian Walsh. I searched for his number and dialed. The phone rang 3 times before a hesitant voice answered. Hello? Dr. Walsh. This is Emily Carter. I was Liam Callahan's nurse. Silence, then a sharp intake of breath. I can't talk to you. Please, I begged. I think Liam is in danger. More silence. Then in a hushed tone, he said, Meet me in 30 minutes at the old train station on Rosewood Avenue. The line went dead. I grabbed my coat and rushed out the door. The old train station was abandoned, its rusting tracks covered in weeds. Dr. Walsh was already there, pacing nervously. When he saw me, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind an old column. You shouldn't have called me, he hissed. Do you have any idea what's happening? I know Liam didn't just disappear. I shot back. Tell me what you know. Dr. Walsh exhaled sharply. Liam wasn't supposed to survive. My blood ran cold. What? His coma wasn't natural, he whispered. He was drugged. I staggered back. That's impossible. The hospital ran tests. They were falsified, Dr. Walsh interrupted. Someone on the inside ensured that no one questioned it. They planned to keep him unconscious forever. I felt sick. How did he wake up? I asked. The doctor hesitated. You. My breath caught. What? You read to him every day. Talked to him. Maybe deep down it kept his mind alive. I swallowed hard. So if I hadn't, he'd still be in that bed. Or worse. The horror of it all settled over me like a thick fog. Someone had stolen Liam's life. And now, they were trying to erase him for good. Doctor Walsh pulled out a slip of paper from his pocket and handed it to me. This is where Liam is. I unfolded it, my eyes scanning the address. A remote cabin, hours away from the city. They took him there after removing him from a hospital, Dr. Walsh explained. But Emily, listen to me. If you go after him, they'll come for you next. I clenched my fists. I don't care. Dr. Walsh sighed. Then at least don't go alone. I turned to leave, but his next words stopped me in my tracks. Oh, and Emily? I glanced back. Liam's memory may not be fully intact. There are things he might not remember. I frowned. Like what? Dr. Walsh hesitated, then shook his head. Just be careful. I was halfway to the cabin when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello. A deep voice spoke. You should have listened to the warning. Chills ran down my spine. You're making a mistake, Emily. I gripped the wheel tighter. Who are you? A pause. Then, you already know. The call ended. My hands trembled. I didn't recognize the voice, but something about it felt familiar. By the time I reached the cabin, the sun had set. It was eerily quiet, the trees casting long shadows in the moonlight. I pushed open the door, my heart hammering in my chest. And there, sitting in a chair by the fireplace, was Liam. He looked thinner, weaker, but his sharp blue eyes locked onto mine with a mixture of shock and relief. Emily, his voice was hoarse. I rushed to him. Liam, oh my God, you okay? But before he could answer, another voice cut through the silence. You shouldn't have come here. I spun around and froze, because standing in the doorway was Daniel Hartman, Liam's best friend, the man who betrayed him, and the man who just called me. Daniel Hartman stood in the doorway, his sharp eyes fixed on me. The flickering firelight cast long shadows across his face, making him look even more unreadable. Daniel, my voice was barely above a whisper. You did this. Liam groaned, struggling to sit up. His hands gripped the armrest of the chair, his body weak but his eyes burning with realization. You drugged me, Daniel. You stole everything from me. Daniel sighed, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. It was never personal, Liam. It was business. I took a step back, my heart racing. You nearly killed him. Daniel shrugged. That wasn't the plan. The coma was supposed to be temporary, long enough for the board to declare Liam unfit to run Callahan Enterprises. But you messed that up, Emily. My blood ran cold. Me! Daniel smirked. Every day you read to him. Every day you kept his mind awake. If you had just left him alone, he would have faded away peacefully. No harm done. Liam clenched his fists. You're a monster. Daniel's smirk disappeared. No, Liam, I did what was necessary. Do you really think you could have held on to Callahan Enterprises forever? The board was already turning against you. I just sped up the process. I shook my head. You ruined his life. Daniel exhaled. That's where you're wrong. I saved it. Liam struggled to his feet, his body trembling. Saved it, he spat. You stole it. Daniel tilted his head. Did I? Or did I just do what you were too blind to see was inevitable? Silence filled the room. Then Daniel pulled out something from his coat. A gun. My breath caught in my throat. Liam, still weak, tried to move in front of me. Daniel's expression didn't change. I didn't want it to come to this. But Emily, you leave me no choice. Panic surged through me. You wouldn't. Daniel sighed. I actually liked you. You're smart. You're kind. But you're also a liability now. He took a step closer, gun raised. I had seconds to act. I grabbed the closest thing I could, a heavy lamp, and hurled it at him. Daniel cursed, dodging just in time. In that split second, I lunged for Liam, grabbing his hand. Run! We sprinted toward the back door. Daniel recovered fast. A gunshot rang out, shattering a glass lamp near us. Liam stumbled, but I held on tight. We burst through the back door into the dark forest beyond. Branches whipped against my skin, but I didn't stop. Neither did Liam. Behind us, Daniel's voice rang out. You can't run forever. We ran until our lungs burned, until Liam, still weak from his coma, collapsed against a tree. I dropped to my knees beside him. Liam, are you okay? He was breathing hard, his face pale. I just need a second. Footsteps crunched in the distance. Daniel was coming. I scanned our surroundings, searching for a hiding spot. My eyes landed on an old, abandoned hunting cabin nestled between the trees. Come on, I whispered, helping Liam to his feet. We stumbled inside, shutting the door softly behind us. The cabin was small, dusty, and filled with old wooden furniture. It smelled of damp wood and decay. We crouched behind an overturned table, our breaths heavy. Outside, footsteps slowed. Then, silence. Daniel was here. My heart hammered. I reached for a rusted fire poker, gripping it tightly. Liam placed his hand over mine. Emily, if something happens. Nothing's going to happen, I whispered fiercely. The door creaked open. Daniel stepped inside, gun raised, eyes scanning the room. I know you're in here, he called out, his tone eerily calm. You can't hide forever. Liam tensed beside me. Daniel took slow, deliberate steps forward. You don't get it, do you, Liam? He continued. Even if you escape, it won't change anything. Callahan Enterprises is mine now. You have nothing left. Liam clenched his jaw. You're wrong. Daniel chuckled. Oh, and why is that? Liam's eyes locked onto mine. Because I still have her. Before Daniel could react, I sprang forward, swinging the fire poker with all my strength. It struck his wrist. The gun clattered to the floor. Liam tackled him, his weak body fueled by sheer rage. They struggled, fists flying. But Daniel was stronger. He shoved Liam back, sending him crashing into a chair. I grabbed the gun. Stop. I screamed, aiming at Daniel. He froze, hands raised. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Emily, he said slowly, voice soft. You don't want to do this. My hand shook. Give me one reason why I shouldn't. Silence. Then, a cruel smile spread across his lips. Because, sweetheart, he whispered, I'm the only one who knows the whole truth. My finger hovered over the trigger. What are you talking about? Daniel smirked. Liam never told you, did he? I glanced at Liam, who looked confused and afraid. Told me what? I demanded. Daniel's smirk deepened. That this wasn't just about money. I hesitated. Daniel's voice dropped to a whisper. This started because of you, Emily. Liam stiffened. My heart pounded. You're lying. Daniel chuckled darkly. Am I? He turned to Liam. Tell her, Liam. Tell her why I really put you in that coma. Liam's hands clenched into fists. Shut up, Daniel. No, I said, my voice shaking. Tell me the truth. Liam's eyes locked onto mine, and in that moment I knew he had been keeping something from me. Something big. Something that changed everything. Liam's jaw tightened, his entire body tense. He wasn't looking at me. He was glaring at Daniel. I tightened my grip on the gun. Liam, what is he talking about? Silence. Then Daniel took a slow step forward, his smirk growing. She deserves to know, doesn't she? Liam's hands clenched into fists, his breathing heavy. Emily, he hesitated, pain flashing in his eyes. Daniel's voice was soft, taunting. The coma wasn't just a business move. It was personal, because Liam wasn't just a CEO in my way. He was a thief. My stomach twisted. A thief. Daniel chuckled darkly. Yes, he stole something from me. His eyes gleamed. Or should I say someone? I felt the air leave my lungs. No. Daniel nodded. That's right, sweetheart. He turned to Liam. Tell her who she was before you erased her past. Liam's eyes closed for a brief moment. His shoulders dropped, as if the weight of the world had just crashed down on him. Then he opened them, and finally, he told me the truth. Liam's voice was barely above a whisper. Emily, you weren't always Emily Carter. The world around me blurred. What do you mean? Daniel scoffed. He took you, Emily. Wiped your past clean. Changed your name, your identity. He made sure you'd never remember the life you had before him. No, I whispered, shaking my head. That's impossible. Liam's eyes were filled with regret. It's true. Tears stung my eyes. Then tell me, who was I? A deep silence filled the room. Then, you were my fiancé, Daniel said coldly. The words hit me like a slap. I gasped, my knees threatening to give out. No, that can't be true. Daniel's gaze darkened. We were engaged, Emily. You loved me. We were supposed to get married. And then, one night, you disappeared. I turned to Liam, my entire body trembling. Is this true? Liam's expression was filled with pain, but he didn't deny it. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Why? My voice cracked. Why would you take me away from my life? Liam's fist tightened. Because you weren't safe with him. Daniel let out a cold laugh. Oh, come on. Is that the excuse you're using? That I was the villain? He shook his head. Tell her the real reason, Liam. Liam's jaw clenched. Daniel's eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. You didn't take her because she wasn't safe. He leaned in, whispering, You took her because you fell in love with her. The words slammed into me like a hurricane. I felt my world crumble. Liam had stolen me, lied to me, built a life around deception. But the most terrifying part? I wasn't sure if my heart would ever stop loving him. My grip on the gun loosened. My mind spun with memories that didn't exist because they had been taken from me. I turned to Liam. Is it true? Liam swallowed hard. Yes. My breath hitched. Daniel smirked. And now you know, sweetheart, the man you trusted the most was the one who betrayed you first. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff. One step forward, and I'd fall. Liam's voice was desperate. Emily, please, let me explain. No, my voice was raw. I need to think. I turned away from both of them, the weight of the truth crashing down on me. I had no idea who to trust anymore. Or worse, who I even was. The minutes stretched into what felt like hours as I paced the small hospital room. My mind spun in circles, the weight of the truth of who I really was, pressing down on me like a 1,000-pound weight. I couldn't process it. I couldn't understand it. Liam loved me. Daniel wanted me back. But neither of them had told me the truth until it was too late. My head was spinning, and my heart ached with a pain I didn't know how to deal with. Emily. Liam's voice broke through my thoughts. His steps were quiet, but I could feel the rawness in his words. Please, let me explain. I never meant for you to get hurt. I spun around to face him, my heart pounding. Then why did you do it? Why did you take me away from everything I knew? Why did you erase my life? Liam's eyes were filled with sorrow, and he stepped closer, but I backed away instinctively. I couldn't let him control you, he said softly. You were in danger, Emily. Daniel, he's dangerous. He didn't care about you the way I did, and I couldn't just let you go back to him. Daniel snorted from the corner of the room, a laugh full of bitterness. Oh, please. You're the dangerous one here, Liam. You kidnapped her. You turned her into a puppet for your own needs. Liam shot him a glare, but his voice remained steady. I did it because I loved her, because I still love her. I felt my heart lurch at his words. The man who had taken everything from me was still the one telling me he loved me. Was I supposed to believe him? You think that makes it better? I whispered, my voice trembling. You think that justifies what you did to me? Liam's eyes softened. No, I don't, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I couldn't let you stay with someone who would only hurt you. Daniel's laugh was cold, cutting through the tension. Oh, come on, Liam. You're such a hypocrite. You talk about protecting her, but you're the one who stole her away. You think she's better off with you? I turned to face Daniel. What about you? I asked, my voice thick with emotion. What do you want from me? After everything you've done, after everything you've lost, why should I trust you? Daniel's expression faltered for a moment, then returned to his usual arrogance. Because I was the one who really cared about you. I was the one who wanted to be with you before all of this happened. I'm the one who wanted you to have your memories back. I shook my head, tears threatening to spill. And yet, you waited until now to tell me the truth? You both lied to me. The silence in the room was suffocating. I was caught between two men, two versions of my past, and neither of them seemed to have a real answer. What am I supposed to do now? The room felt smaller, suffocating. The choices I had in front of me, the consequences of every move I made, seemed impossible to navigate. Suddenly, Liam stepped forward, his voice quiet but firm. Emily, I know I've hurt you, and I know I can never erase the pain I've caused, but I'm asking you for a chance to make things right. My breath caught. Could I trust him? Could I trust either of them? Don't listen to him, Daniel growled, his voice cold. He's manipulating you. He's been doing it since the moment you woke up. You deserve better than him. The air felt thick with the tension between us. I was suffocating the choices I was forced to make, but I knew something had to give. I closed my eyes, my mind a whirlwind of emotions, and took a step back, trying to clear the fog. I couldn't make this decision in a moment of anger, of fear, or even of love. I needed to think. I need time. I finally said, my voice shaky but resolute. I can't make a decision now. Liam's expression darkened, but he nodded. I understand. I'll wait. I'll always wait. Daniel's lips twisted into a sneer. Don't take too long, Emily, because in the end you'll have to choose. The room fell into a heavy silence, each of us consumed by our own thoughts, our own regrets, and our own desires. The silence in the room felt unbearable. I could feel both Liam and Daniel watching me, waiting for me to say something, waiting for me to choose. But how could I? I didn't know who to trust. I didn't even know who I was. I need to be alone. I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. Liam's face fell, but he nodded. Of course. Daniel, however, scoffed. Alone? You think that's going to help you remember? He took a slow step forward, his voice low. You don't have time to figure this out, Emily. The world isn't going to wait while you make up your mind. His words sent a chill down my spine. What is that supposed to mean? Daniel smirked, but there was no amusement in his eyes. It means the people who wanted Liam dead still want him dead. And now that you're involved, you're a target too. I sucked in a sharp breath. What? Liam stepped between us, his expression hard. Enough, Daniel. Daniel ignored him, his gaze fixed on me. You think this is just about love? About choosing between me and him? He shook his head. It's so much bigger than that. There are people out there who don't care who you choose. They just want Liam gone, and they won't care if you're caught in the crossfire. A cold dread settled in my stomach. Liam turned to me, his voice steady but urgent. Emily, I swear, I won't let anything happen to you. I swallowed hard. Who are they? Who's trying to kill you? Liam hesitated for a second too long. Daniel let out a dark chuckle. He won't tell you, because if he does, you'll finally understand what kind of man he really is. My heart pounded. Liam? Liam's jaw clenched, his hands curling into fists. I could see it in his eyes. Whatever the truth was, it was bad. Daniel took another step toward me, lowering his voice. Come with me, Emily. Let me help you remember. Let me show you who Liam really is. Liam immediately blocked him. She's not going anywhere with you. Let her decide. Daniel's eyes flicked back to me. If you want the truth, the real truth, come with me. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff again. Liam had lied to me, but Daniel had hidden things too. Who did I trust? Who did I go with? My hands trembled as I looked between them. My past, my future. Everything rested on this one decision, and I had no idea what to do. The air was thick with tension. Liam stood on one side, Daniel on the other, both waiting for my decision. My heart pounded in my chest, torn between two men, two versions of my past and future. But I was done being a pawn in their game. I took a deep breath and stepped back. No, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. I'm not choosing either of you. Liam's face fell. Emily? Daniel's smirk faded. What? I shook my head. You both lied to me. You both took away my right to decide my own life. I don't trust either of you. My hands trembled, but I refused to back down. I'm choosing me. Liam took a desperate step forward. I did everything to protect you. Daniel scoffed. You kidnapped her, Liam. Let her go. I turned to Daniel, my voice cold. And you waited until now to tell me the truth? If you really loved me, you would have fought for me before I lost my memories. Daniel's expression darkened. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. I had been caught between two men for too long. But now, I knew the truth. Neither of them deserved me. I walked toward the door, my heart racing. I don't know who I was before, and maybe I never will. But I know who I want to be now. And that's someone who isn't controlled by either of you. Liam's voice broke. Emily, please. I turned back one last time. Goodbye, Liam. Daniel took a step forward, but I shook my head. And goodbye to you too, Daniel. With that, I walked out the door. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't running toward the past. I was walking toward my future.